Hi. The middle of Rebbe, I haven't seen it in the Sichos of Rabbi, but it's in the road. Middle of Rebbe once said a murder to board, which anyone has to understand. Deep board. The middle of Rebbe said, that it says, Vatiga v'roish ha-sharvit, says in Zohar, Dorashvi. When Esther HaMalk, Queen Esther, went to the kingdom, an incredible sacrifice, risking her life. And a miracle occurred, as Chazan explained that led to the Medrash tomorrow. And her head reached the top of the scepter, the Sharvit HaMelech. The Melech, Melucha, works through his Sharvit, through his scepter. Says Chazal in Zohar HaKodesh Dorashvi. Right? He was Magia Berush HaSharvit. Over the Tashka zugenommen the ganze Welt. It's like a deep, profound word. Rashbir is here by a took the top of the Sharvit. My father, the Alter Rebbe, took the entire scepter. That's an incredible. Derech Agav, the parenthetically, it's also related. That once the Middle Rebbe called over of Isaac Holmer, and he said, Freike, his daughter, his sister, had a dream last night, a short dream of Rabbi, but a very deep dream. After Chabdalatavis, or after the Stalkus of the Alter Rebbe, and she dreamt she saw the Alter Rebbe, and she was shocked, because he was bathed, he was enclosed, encompassed in light, in incredible, awesome light. And the Alter Rebbe in the dream asked Freike, who was a Balos Das, very next to the Haggash, to do an story. Why are you so disposed? Why are you so moved and you're so emotional? But by Rabbi there's even a greater life. Rabbi said the story is amazing. This Rabbi is already for 2,000 years, right? He's just come. There's no Rabbi is going to be doing. You see again the connection. But what does it mean? Rashbi was the Rosh Hashanah, and the Alter Rebbe took the whole shot. Pshat is, I said before, the fourth of the Alter Rebbe, that someone was beshtatet in the Simcha, the Alter Rebbe promised and was taken out in a Beitzal Amercha, in a Gashmi Zaruchnis, in a Geherit. But everyone wants to explain, what's the flaw? What's the flaw of this one? And it says, the Alter Rebbe says, the Chiddush is, that one can be alive here and now, the Gashmias, and the corporeal, physical entity in this world of Asiyah Gashmias, and at the same time in the Tizkislah, that's Koyel, the other picking him up from Madrega to Madrega to Madrega, till Minameitza El Amercha, he now has a perspective of the Olam Atzilus, an Olam which is where you Gurchara, where there's Achdus Apshutim. The highest of high levels, it's not just go from step to step, a evolution, progressing. In B'shayt Techoda, B'riga Choda, it's Aldera. Aldera writes in the Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking to Paro. So Moshe, who's a neshama of Atzilus, is speaking to Paro, a clip of Gimel Klippet Atmeis, in a place which is area by area, a land of decadence and promiscuity. That Atzilus is the highest of high, is able to connect to the lowest of low. Simultaneously. The Chiddush of the Alter Rebbe, also, which is mind-boggling if you think about it, is that the Alter Rebbe connects both sides, the two opposites, two edges. The Alter Rebbe on the one hand is like we all know in the Shabbat Atzilus. There's the Rebbe of Zusha Manapol, one of the great brother of Rabbi, of the Alter Rebbe. He was once studying with his son, and the Alter Rebbe was walking by the house when he said that so my father, the Rebbe of Zusha, was trembling. And that walls of, my father said, the walls of the house are trembling because of a neshama of Atzilus. I don't have a clue what that means. But the neshama of Atzilus is walking by my house. To the son of the Rebbe of Zusha's son said, whether the walls were trembling, I don't know, that's my father was made. But I can tell you by my own eyes that's how my father was coming. And once Alter Rebbe came into the house of Rebbe Zusha, and Rebbe Zusha went to hide in the furnace, in the fireplace. He was scared of being present in the presence of a Neshama Atzilus. Such a rare Neshama Atzilus, whatever that means, coming down in this world. And yet, the Alter Rebbe famously said, in comparison to Rashbi, the Alter Rebbe once said famously that there were 3 people who had a geschmack in Olam Hazeh, and 3 people who were totally mufshid. They were separated, divorced, removed from Olam Hazeh. Odom Arishin, Moshe Rabbeinu, and the Holy Baal Shem Tov were the 3 who had a geschmack in Inyan Olam Hazeh into the world. The Rashbi and the Arizal and the Maggid of Bezrat were totally especially out of the world. And the Alter Rebbe says that I am connected to the world. I have a geschmack and understanding in those. Because that is the job of the Alter Rebbe, the Galei, to bring things down in the world, in the Gashmis of the world. I'll tell you a story. In other words, to give the Neshama that Atzilus gives a new perspective on things. So when you look at Veld, you look at the physical, the material, the mundane, it's a new world. I'll give you an example. Remember those I don't remember, before my days coming to about, Chaf Aleph, I think, the Mora de Asra of Chabad, Shnei Yedrov, came to the Rebbe a few kisses. So the Rebbe told him between Sichas, the Rebbe told Shnei to say L'chaim Rakis a full glass, right? And he came over to the Rebbe, discussing something, and he was saying something about Chazan in Chabad, something wrong from him. To which the Rebbe said to Shnei Yedrov, why do you have to look at the situation Yura? Look at it Noel. And the Rebbe then explained to him that the Torah, grammar and dikduk, difference when you put the stress on the word, whether it's around Noel, how you pronounce Lashon HaKodesh. So the Rebbe explains that Milra is Milmato, and Milel, as it literally means, Milmayel. So the Rebbe was telling, it reminds me of Ben Gurion, who was the Prime Minister of the State of Israel. After the 6-Day War, he met the Palavich Rav, and for some reason, I don't know why, I think the Palavich Rav had a sprach with Ben Gurion. A funny, whatever. So if you remember, before the 6-Day War, the borders of Israel were very narrow, were the Auschwitz border. It was like, a few kilometers from the Arab villages early to the Mediterranean. After the 6-Day War, there were massive villages of the Jordan region. So Ben Gurion, who was not renowned for his, sagacity or quiet, right? Told the Palavich Rav, now we have bitachon, security. To which the Palavich Rav smiled and said, yes, except for you, the Frye, you have a bitachon. For us, from Elohim, we have bitachon. The difference with bitachon or bitachon is one is Noel and one is Ura. Are you with me? Where is the source of your bitachon? Is it going to be your you have bitachon? Is it the Rabbi Shalom, then it's bitachon? You got my drift? But the Rebbe, and that's what the Rebbe was telling her, saying it all. Why look at things Noel when you look at things Noel? Why look at the Welt? From a Magushim, what happens with Guf when you get caught with the shot? And that's the shot. I'm reading the Siddur of the Rebbe. The Rebbe comments on the letter of the Rebbe Nishmosi, which is Kislev. Zayin Tchilas Masech, L'Shleim L'Sekaman Amitis, L'Vriyas Adam Alei Ores, L'Havshat Kili Ur, Pnimi, L'Sar L'Seinu HaKodesh, Asher Nimshach V'yem Ezel, V'yem Hashem Cholos. This is the day of Hashem, right? The day of Ur, V'chayim, 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 the day when our, they don't explain over the years, every sichas, the chayis, and what it means, and it's full of sichas. But ever just 1 year, that ever spoke about the heat, with the chayis, our vitality, our life force, the illumination, the radiance, which sichas brings, the he tears of Hashem. So the Rebbe was the day. The Rebbe was like a master of deep. The he, this light, this vitality, this chayis, this illumination, this radiance, he turned. Why the double expression of he turned? The Rebbe said, everyone knows that we're conscious. Same with karbonis, rituals, temple rites. There's a law of Shina, Allah V'Akosav V'Akim. If the Torah says something once, an imperative, a command, it's loud enough, it has to be Shina. If I repeats it twice, then you know it's the kuf, even with the other, it has to be done. While in the rest of Torah, if the Torah says something once, it's already Achim. The Rebbe said that common sense, some Riyah that would have learned just the opposite. Right? Kachim is holier, or sublime, or exalted. There, everything has to be written twice. In other areas of that, so the Rebbe explained Pasha. Very, very simple. To take something which is choyv, which seems to be divorced from other groups, mundane, faint, and to turn it into kachim, the highest of high, to be mamshach alikus into something, and permanently change the basic, fundamental character of an object, is not something which is logical, which is rational, which makes sense. It's not something which is in the normal ability of a person. So I could say, if you could do it, you could pull it off. Look around at the end of the world. It's normally beyond the person's own ability. Yes. Therefore, Shina, Olav, Akosov, Aki, the Torah has to be Kochim, which is something illogical, higher than money. There, the Torah has to repeat it over and over, a second time. And the fourth that I said was the whole idea of the essence of Chassidus is to take Welt and to make it into something kosher, make it into something. In fact, the middle Rebbe writes in Teres Chaim, the Baal Shem Tov, David, numerous tefillos, and fasted numerous tanesim, in order to be able to answer a query of a questioner in the midst of his Aliyah Samishah. When his soul is roaming in Shmei Morim, the highest of celestial chambers. Hashem had asked the English for this ability that simultaneously, at the very same moment, when a person is coming to him to ask his query in his business matters, in his personal matters, the thing is connected to Ilam Hamza, he should be able to answer. Why? Because that's what Chassidus. Chassidus is to be on the highest of high, and to be able to translate it into something tangible down here. All of Chassidus is going on this dichotomy, this paradox. Time we start talking, I'll have something to mind with it. Mashpiyim Oisoy, we administer to an oath, to the Neshama before it's born, the tzaddik. What do you mean be a tzaddik? To interpretation. A tzaddik, Abitanya, means someone who's not only up to the Machshav Dibur Maisa, but someone who's totally not only eradicated, but sublimated and transformed into Nefesh HaMamis, over the Volvo, he's totally changed his basic character. As Al Rebbe says elsewhere in Perik, his guf and his neshama become one. One is an extension of the other. Seamless connection. Hello? Of which we say that tzaddik is like one or two in a generation. For an ordinary Jew, what's that mashviyah or you say be tzaddik? Be a tzaddik b'shem amushu, as in the colloquial definition of a tzaddik. Someone gets it right most of the time. Hello? So what's his pshat? Now then it's a Paldo B'Sholim Nafshi. What's the Paldo B'Sholim? On one hand, for tzaddikim, it's the avodah of Sholim. I feel Cherev Shel Sholim, there's no war, no strife, no discord. Malach Ra answers only of his own will. For an ordinary person, don't even chat Paldo B'Sholim. See, this said Paldo B'Sholim, which goes to Ma'ar Chazal. If you personally learn, or you speak Torah, or you speak Chosodim, or B'Spalim Atzidut. Chassidus bridges this dichotomy, this paradox of two opposites, because that is the purpose of Chassidus in the highest of high. If the Rebbe once said, I'm taking the Gimel, and if I bring it, the Rebbe once said, I'm very Gezach. We all know that the last day, Yud Kislev, the Rebbe was free, was liberated, Mincha time, and that day, Yud Kislev, which by the way, see them always say, the Rebbe himself, in himself, vis-a-vis himself, didn't suffer. Where does the Rebbe mean? Where would he go? Right? On the contrary, he had all they knew. It's Hashem HaYeshua, it's Chassidus Yeshua. Right? But himself, in and of himself, he didn't need any Yeshua, he didn't need this Chassidus. But the last day in Tfisa was there was the Hoyim day, and that's the day when Al-Rez, the Sor, the Hakit, all three Tfilas, he davened together with his Rebbe, the Maggid, and his Rebbe, the Moshe. And everyone knows that the Rebbe asked them, why is this kippur? Why is it happening to him? And it's only because you're spreading sin very clearly, unequivocally, the ordinary people can understand. Now, the Rebbe said, stop this on the contrary, that the Rebbe should basically understood. But yes, it's Eis and yes. On a great degree. And when the Rebbe Rashab heard that the Friediger Rebbe, and he was so son of the Friediger Rebbe, of the Rebbe Rashab, was going to Petersburg, and he was going to see the cell, the prison cell, that the Rebbe was in, right? To see if there's enough place for 3 people to be in the cell at the same time. With an Indian, a deal that this wasn't a vision, this wasn't some kind of out-of-body experience, some dream, some nocturnal whatever. This is the gashmius in the world, in this world. And the Rebbe was medayik. Why did this happen? Can I just explain this happened? People don't really think the story of Yitzchak. The fact that the Magi came down, the Kufa, the gashmius, after he was no longer physically in the world. So now the Rebbe in the prison cell, big deal. You know, there's a story told that the Rebbe once told that that the Rebbe was the Meshoris. I'll tell you the story anyway, by the way. Now the Rebbe was the Meshoris of the Maggid, Yedua. And once the Maggid on Sukkah is told, now the Rebbe, like, keep your nerves or whatever, we're going into the Sukkah. They walked into the Sukkah, and it was in the year Tav Kuv Tav Zayin, 7 years after the Council of Hashem, and they saw the Hashem in the Sukkah. And parenthetically, the Rebbe asked, why did the Rebbe have to say that he was the Meshoris? How long was the Maggid? How long was the Rebbe? No, see, 13 years. How long was the Alter Rebbe by the Maggid? 32 months. Now, how can you say someone only has 32 months, which is 2.5 years, was the Meshoris of the Maggid, who was the Nossi for 13 years? This is the Alter Rebbe explaining the Fabregas, that since where the Alter Rebbe, wherever he went on a shlichus. Now, the Rebbe said a famous excuse. Wherever the shliach goes, there you find Davka, there is the Atzmius of the Shaleach, the one who sent it there. Wherever the Alter Rebbe went, he had the Maggid with him and his Rebbe with him. And that's the other thing. But why was there a deal that the Maggid had, what is that flaw? What's awesome with the Maggid? I'll tell you a story. The Maggid had one son. Everyone knows? One son. It was Alter Rebbe's coming to the Mount. As the name indicates, he was a person who was not very much the Malach. You know? Malachim, whatever. At least the Malachim that I meet regularly are, they're not in the world. They're just out of the world. Right? That's why the Malach didn't become the successor, because you can't have a Rebbe was a Malach. A Rebbe was a man. Anyway, to cut a long story short, the Malach was the Ben Yochid. The Chavivus, how cherished and how beloved he was to the Maggid, was in Shai. He was once, after the passing of the Maggid, he was on the river Dnieper in Russia, the main river, and his boat capsized, and he was about to drown. And the father, the Maggid, came down from Shvei and he saved his life. And afterwards he revealed himself to the Malach, and he said, if I would have remembered Chezu Dai Alma, the odious stench of this world, I would have never agreed to come down and see you. Only child, the apple of your eye, right? A person is the Chamalach. But apparently the Maggid had, that Yitzchak lived off with Lamed Gimel. When the Maggid passed away from this world, so you say Kaddish, after the burial, meaning old food is say Kaddish, yes? Well, the Malach started saying Yizkadol Merabah for his father, and he stopped in the middle, and the whole year, even my shul, right? Everyone keeps those things. No? More or less. I once said to Mashkiach was there for now, so on the Zoom side, I once said, why? Because the Gemara, Shindal Ben, and the other day it says, someone that doesn't keep the laws of Avelis is not soldiers. Cool. This is not true with Yerushalayim. Not to keep laws of Avelis for a doctor, for a mom. It's not soldiers, it's cool. And he needs the Tevazan Achsa. He needs Rahman of Hashem, right? So every poshut shebepshutim. For a father who was a mother, a poshut shebepshutim. They say Kaddish. The Malach didn't say Kaddish before he started saying Kaddish. He stopped. Why? Because he was a man who had the hearing shielder here, the heavens were open, and he saw when you say Kaddish for Rishoyim, it helps them forget it, cools the fire. For Tzaddikim, put you higher and higher and higher. The Magi took the express elevator right after Tibbas HaGoyim, and he immediately reached through the first few lines of Kaddish and Madrega that no human intervention could help reach it. There was no point to take out. It was a futile exercise. Hello? That's how removed he was from this one. One of the great Polish rabbis, Rabbi was a terrible disaster against people in that part of the world. And he journeyed to Annapolis, to the cave, to the Tzion of the Magid, to David, to the Imam Tikkun, to the battle of the and he came back and he had, it's reported from his Eidegah, I thought the Rosh Hashanah, he said, asked the Magid, why wasn't he successful? So he said, where he's now perched in Gan Eden, on such a lofty, exalted place, he can't see everything that the Eibush does ultimately is for good, right? Where he is Gan Eden on such a lofty level, right? He can't be Mavatal Gzeira because he doesn't see the pain of the Gzeira, he's suddenly removed from it. Detached from it. Maggid reached the highest of levels. For him to come down into this world with its odor, with its filth, he couldn't bear it. Even to save his only son's life. Over Yutes Yislev Ta'afu that to tell the Alter Rebbe to spread, it didn't Captain Magid did come down from Shremor. Here, that's what the story. Why did it have to be Dafkin the Shabbat the Goof? Because that's the Rebbe said in the Fablein, that's what Sinas Chabad is. To bring things in the world in a tangible way down here. I'll leave you with the story if you want. Say this story all the time, I love the story. The Rebbe used to always do Torah many years. The Rebbe taught in the Torah was a moment, a brain, till midnight. Then an hour later, it was upstairs, then it would come down. After Eisa would start like 1 o'clock in the morning, dancing, singing. And then, the years before I came, the Rebbe would go upstairs for the Itzudas Yosef with a small elite group of Ziknei Anash, like the Rabbanim, etc. And then the Rebbe for many years would come down and he would teach a new thing, unknown to the Rebbe. Most people didn't know. And then the Rebbe would distribute mashkir to anyone who's makabel himself to make a soft and So one of the nibunim the Rebbe taught, very beautiful, haunting, Chabad type reading, right? With animals the thirsting, the yearning of a Jewish soul to know the secrets, the innermost mystical secrets of the Mishnah, right? The Rebbe taught the niggun thing. And the Rebbe explained this niggun where it come from. There was a Yid after the Ilah, Dav Ma'ariv, right? Usually in most synagogues around the world, there's automatically a stampede, like buffalo. You hear the shofar, leading everyone down, right? So they haven't eaten for 26 hours, they didn't make it, right? One Yid after the Ilah, after Ma'ariv, it's in Kodesh, he sat down on a benkel, and he started like he was cleaving to something higher, something deeper, something more, whatever. And he composed in his mind this beautiful, haunting basis of Genigin of Adam's readers, Mishim of Ered, the pining, the yearning of the Neshama to reach above the here and now of the day. And when the people came in the morning to this measure, they saw this Yidel was still sitting there. That's the Rebbe introduced me. But after, that was simple Torah, after Tishrei, all the guests who came, the Orachim going back. So the Yid called Reuven Dun. I don't know if most of the people here don't. No, they're very sharp, shrewd. What? There is? They're not distracted. Okay, yeah, whatever. There's a salt, sharp kibbutz, right? Who had tongue like a razor. I can't say in public even though this incredible witticisms that he came up with. It's very sharp. He mastered up the tshuva, someone would give off his shirt off his back. They never loved him. And because they had a very unique relationship, he was able to talk to the Rebbe, and Yosef had a normal chassan, wouldn't dare his nightmares to speak to the Rebbe. So he when he went to the Yechidus, afterwards, he asked the Rebbe, that Chassidim, or Malach Hashem, Chassidim whispering that who is this person who sat up a whole night for Tzveikit, but so Yom Kippur, it must be the Rebbe, who else could it be? So the Rebbe was like laughing and vacuum, just wild. That story happened before Chassidim. How do you know? Where do you know it happened before Chassidim? So the Rebbe, I'll tell you the whole story. They were told privately the story, they didn't say publicly. There was once a Yid who was a Gevir, right? A Yid was a Gevir, a wealthy man, incredibly wealthy. And he spent his wealth, his unique wealth, his mitzvah, his unique mitzvah, his distinctive mitzvah which he adopted, was redeeming captives. In the old days, the Jew fell into financial difficulties, owed debts, they threw him into prison, this Russian dungeon of the spirit. A Yid owed the money to the pirates, rent for his or whatever. The pirates, and he would go from village to village, from hamlet to hamlet, to redeem captives. That was his debt. Spent a fortune. One day, he goes to a place, and the poet there, this rich Russian nobleman, his hatred of Jews was greater than his lust for money. And the guy was in jail. How much does he owe? 1,000 rubles, right? He won't redeem him unless you give me 200,000. Mamish Bahagzona was totally out of this world when he demanded. And he thought, no, we'll get it and the Jew will perish. This guy hated Torah. It bothered him to leave the Jew to languish in this dungeon, right? He went home, called in his accountants, his actuaries, if I sell all my factories and my land and my real estate, my whatever, and convert all of my assets into cash, how much money can I realize? 200,000 rubles. Pulled to the government, the amount of money that he needs to redeem the Jew. He's an oisher, a multi-zillionaire, right? Without batting an eyelash, he liquidated all of his assets, all of his factories, his businesses, all of his concerns, put the cash in hand, went back to the forest, money on the table, okay, deal's a deal. He wanted the deal, he can't deny it. He went to get the key to open up the dungeon, to release the Jew. And when he found it, opened up the dungeon, that the Jew had already perished from the starvation, the deprivation. And the guy, starved, the corpse. Get down there. It's a great mitzvah to bring a Jew to Kever Yisrael, but not on that or that, and he gave away his whole fortune. Took the body, buried it, but it hated the it bothered this philanthropist, this benefactor. All the now he's reduced to penury, to poverty, and he didn't even fulfill the mitzvah Pidyon. And he went to bed with tears that night. And that night he had a dream, and in heaven there was you have a choice. Either the Eibusher will pay back to the penny. Every penny that you laid out for a tree, you'll get it all back. And once again, you'll go back to your state wealth. Or you remain an Oni Ve'evi until the day you die. But the Eibusher will reward you with a Lom Chotir B'chayach. You know what I mean? You will shir Gan Eden. You will live, you will experience the bliss, the joys, the unimaginable, indescribable delights of Gan Eden in this world of life which is your choice. You're called to me. Said, Geld, I know what it is already. Greatly overrated. Someone said, if you want to know what God thinks about money, look at the kind of people he gives it to, right? So anyway, so he said, forget about the money, I'll take what? Gan Eden. I love to put it in this world. And that's what he got, that's what he chose. And it was El, from Shuli El, and he starts all of a sudden working in the Avodah, Slichas, Roshana, the Chut, the HaKadosh, he comes to Mamish, by Ye'ilah, Hashem Oleikim, it's like his neshama is bursting, and he feels suddenly this awesome, indescribable tzimoy, yearning for Alikus, for Tzveikus, right? And that's when he sat on the Beinkel with Yom Kippur, and he made the tune to the words, that's the story. So Rabbi Dura said, how does one know from the story this was before his life? Right? He said, if he would have asked the Rebbe, or Shemta, whatever Rebbe, the Rebbe would have told him, forget about it, I love the Geld. Because I love the Chayach, with all the Gan Edens in the world, you can't do a mitzvah. Where does the Eibusher have nachas? Where does he have kailugim from? From the geld, from taking your money, from taking your time, from taking your blood, sweat, and tears. and sacrificing for no reason. Malachim, the Eibush has a diamond dozen in the world. The Eibush needs people. That's pshat. The person has the perspective of the tops of the neshama, you feel the douche in the world.